Penguin Random House presents Target 3 Billion by Apj Abdul Kalam and Srijanpal Singh, read by Dr. Nitish Suryavanshi. The other half of mankind. The changing world and its connectedness. The world is changing, perhaps more dynamically than ever before in its history. Since the early 1800s, a multi-dimensional force of science and technology, economics, politics, and religion has been continuously and rapidly making, breaking, and reshaping all borders, natural and man-made alike. Out of the relatively long history of about 2 lakh years through which humanity has survived and thrived, the last 2 centuries, which roughly constitute not more than 1,000th of its existence, represent an era that has seen tremendously new alterations being sculpted. This new age, lightning speed leap in the pace of transformation, has been enabled by a world which is integrally connected by 4 rapid forms of connectivity. These are environment, people, economy and ideas. We all know that global warming and climate change are no longer the problems of individual nations, states or cities. They are worldwide problems that affect us all. In the present times, a single product may be made out of components sourced from different continents and may provide services to markets far away from its place of origin. Products have absorbed cultural flavors from different parts of the world and transcended their national identity. Truly, global products are now a household brand across the world. Today, a multinational company like Coca-Cola has more than 3,300 product variants to suit local conditions and reaches almost 200 countries. In fact, there are now only 3 countries where Coca-Cola still does not reach: Syria, North Korea, and Iran. The Industrial Revolution and mass production have reformed the scale equations of manufacturing. A century and a half ago, a meter of cloth took more time to produce than a modern automobile plant takes to manufacture an entire car today. We have also seen how the economic turbulence that originated in one part of the world shook the whole world, and how a volcanic eruption in an island country brought the airline industry to a temporary halt. Advances in modes of transportation have progressively made the movement of people across nations and regions more feasible. First, the fossil-fueled steam engine, and then the advent of powerful IC engines, coupled with the introduction of commercial flights, have all increased the mobility of human beings exponentially, even by about 1,000 times in the developed world during the past 2 centuries. This has led to the globalization of skills and talents that can flow seamlessly from one nation to another. On the other hand, this has also resulted in the globalization of human diseases, the most recent instance being the different kinds of flu, which have rapidly spread across the globe. Similarly, ideas and innovations are no longer geographically or politically confined. An invention made today in one place takes almost no time in finding a market thousands of miles away. The expansion of information and communication technology and the convergence of technological tools are structuring a new world knowledge platform where problems of one part of the world can be solved by various experts based at different points of the globe. The seamless flow of information and people also means that local or regional issues will invariably gain global prominence, and unaddressed problems and unmitigated poverty can mutate rapidly into global terrorism, which we are already witnessing. This flow of ideas has also led to increasing importance being given to global human rights and to the propagation of the idea of democracy and people empowerment, bridging the gap between yesterday's methods and the problems of the future. The combined advances in technology, economics, and connectivity act as a double-edged sword in terms of bringing equity and opportunity. Muhammad Yunus, Nobel laureate and microfinance banker entrepreneur, highlights how the affordable mobile phone has enabled the women entrepreneurs of Bangladesh to have access to markets. Similarly, India's experience with the progress in wireless communication and space-based knowledge applications for societal applications have been positive. But there is another side to the picture. Augmentation of wealth and resources have been matched with its concentration to a few hands. The Human Development Report of the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, has revealed that the top fifth of the world's population in the wealthiest nations benefits from 82% of the expanding export trade and 68% of foreign direct investment, while the bottom fifth, in terms of wealth, is left with around 1% of each. This is reflected in the income gap between nations around the world as depicted in figure 1.1, which shows that in 1992, the ratio of the 20% of the people living in the richest nations to the 20% in the poorest nations stood at about 72 times. In fact, the top 3 richest people in the world possess more financial assets than the combined assets of the poorest 10% of the world. It is clear that while at individual levels some technologies have brought equities, at the aggregate level, policies have failed to deliver the benefits to the needy. The methods of the 20th century do not hold much promise for the challenges of the 21st century. What worked yesterday may have difficulty succeeding today, and almost certainly would fail tomorrow. A consumption-centric economic will and a theoretical assumption of the trickle-down effect have brought about the menacing problems of inefficiency and inequity. They cause harm to the environment, which, if not addressed immediately, will result in irreparable damages. The vertical growth of economies has already failed to expand horizontally to cover a large spectrum of people, and despite the beneficial tools that make life easier for some, many exist in the unseen shadows of deprivation. Today, we live in a world where 25,000 people die of starvation every day. Thus, in a period of 2 years, the number of casualties due to hunger-related ailments is equivalent to the population of the city of New York. And in the same world, a new billionaire is created every alternate day. Low efficiency of the current development economics is also highly expensive for the environment. In the decade of the 1990s, every $1,000 worth of growth in the world's income per person translated into $6 that found its way towards reducing poverty for those living on less than $1. As per the Purchasing Poverty Parity, PPP, a day, this economy of excess comes at a huge cost to the environment. In the 1990s, the Biosphere 2 experiment was conducted to determine the amount of resources an average human being requires as per our current consumption patterns. Some startling revelations followed. One was that an average Englishman would require close to 5 hectares, roughly 6 football fields, to satisfy his needs at the current consumption levels and to absorb the waste subsequently generated. An average North American would require twice that amount of land, about 10 hectares. The earth, although immense, is limited in size. Even if all the cultivable land were allotted to human beings, the average size per person would work to about 1.67 hectares only. If every human being were to start living like a North American, we would need 6 planet Earths to match our consumption. Current models are not only ineffective but also perilously taxing on the environment. Ironically, an influx of donations, allocations, and charities also falls short of achieving the targets of modern inclusive development. Our experience across the world clearly shows that some of the best funded projects and missions have failed despite the mammoth resources at their disposal. While it is an undisputed fact that significant success can only be achieved by relatively smaller but better directed approaches. For instance, the Indian government has been spending $7 to $8 billion every year on the food subsidy program. The scheme has come under intense criticism for its inefficient delivery and leakages, as a result of which about half the children in the nation are still undernourished. Many of the international aid agency efforts.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?